Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 3rd of July, now it's 9 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is our traditional, I will say traditional at this point, Wednesday live stream, community chat first of all, and of course news summary. I will share with you some news that was reported during the day. Thank you all for your attention, for participating in this stream, and of course many thanks to all the members of our community who will join later on or will watch this live stream video in a recording. And well, that's been said, I guess I can start the stream. Hopefully sound is okay, video is okay. And yes, first of all, dear friends, if I may, I will thank members of our community who donated since the last stream on Sunday. So I want to thank Attila, I want to thank Andrew, and also Graham. And Graham write a little comment: keep up the good work with your YouTube channel. Best regards, Graham, from and I will not say from where, because I don't know do I have permission or not, but thank you very much, dear friends, for your support, for your donations. And of course I have questions. Sometimes, usually I don't, but now I have questions. One from our member of our community on Patreon, and another one I receive on Boosty. And if I may, I will start this stream from these questions, and then of course I will be engaged with the chat. I will try my best and to be informative, and of course I will share with you some news that I published on my Telegram. We can also check in real time some updates on Russian media outlets here. I always have open at least several of them, just in case. And yes, let's see how stream will go. And when it comes to questions, by the way, I had a question from Maria Palmer on Patreon. Question for a Sunday live stream. Well, I will answer today on Wednesday on this question. Do the Russian farmers get a good price for their produce, or do they struggle like they do in the UK? Thank you, Maria, for your question. And I guess this question is a follow-up of my video that I published on my Patreon page and also on Boosty about Russian supermarket. I come up with new program, basically tracking their inflation, and every month I will make a new episode, and I will go through very same items in the supermarkets, and I will check prices. Did they rise, or maybe prices are lesser for that moment? That happens, by the way. Deflation is a real thing, and this way we will have a good understanding how inflation is doing really. Right now, official numbers are that inflation here in Russia on annual terms is about 8%, 8.5 or 6. I cannot remember now exactly, but it's definitely 8 point something, which is, I will say, if we take in account all the pressure that Russia is under because of the Western sanctions and the actions of the Western ruling class, I will say this number is quite good. And if an economical bloc of Russian government will manage to keep inflation under the double digits, that will be success, in my opinion. And when it comes to this number, 8%, I can understand that 8% may sound extremely big for citizens of Western states that not used to this high inflation. But at least until like recent years, I know now inflation in Western states are quite high, and members of our community are sharing their opinion, their observation about it quite often. But here in Russia, I mean, especially for my generation and generations older that went through 90s, 8% is nothing, really, because we see not just inflation, we see hyperinflation, by the way. We experienced that when prices were changing dramatically every other day, literally every other day. And that was quite experience, I'm gonna tell you. And when it comes to question itself about Russian farmers and how they are doing, well, for farmers in Russia, it's a good times in general. It's a good times. All the farmers have opportunity, and every city here in Russia, by the way, has these areas for farmer markets, bazaars. Bazaar is a word from Middle East, isn't it? So farmers definitely have opportunity to sell their produce directly on the farmers market, although I guess vast volumes of their produce is brought by supermarket chains, and I cannot be sure about it, but I guess they're selling their products for supermarkets significantly cheaper than they would like, but that's a free market. That's a free market. Farming lands are increasing in Russia year-on-year terms significantly, and therefore I guess farmers are making good money. But still, when you have this kind of monopolies on the market, several big supermarket chains, at some point they're gonna start dictate prices also. But as I said, farmers have a opportunity to sell their produce directly, and quite often we try to buy from farmers, and it's a bit expensive than in supermarket, that's for sure, but quality is better in my personal opinion. Quality, whenever you buy directly from the farmers, quality somehow is always better than when you buy stuff in a supermarket. This is my experience. Members of our community can share their experience. Is it the case in the other countries also, or it's just the same produce in the supermarkets and if you are buying on the farmers market? So farmers are doing quite okay, by the way. I don't think you will see anytime soon demonstrations of the farmers because they are not happy with something. They must be doing quite okay because, as I said, land for agricultural produce is increasing year-on-year terms, and Russia clearly is already breadbasket of this world, and it is. There are predictions from the experts. And I'm on the same page in this regard that just give it a couple of decades and Russia probably will be major, not just one of the major breadbaskets of this world, but major one, number one. And the trajectory is in this direction, for sure. Also, by the way, question that I receive on a Boosty from Candid Schmiles. Levan, thank you for your content and dedication. I don't always agree with you, which is healthy. Absolutely, we don't have to agree on everything, of course. But I am impressed by your sincerity. Thank you very much. I have a question for tonight's live stream. In your opinion, what is the majority opinion on Vladimir Putin amongst Georgians and amongst those who do not like him? Why not? Is there, for example, seizable Georgian nationalism that is anti-Russian and anti-West? Thanks. Well, I will divide this question on two parts. There are Georgians, Russian Georgians, Georgians in Russia that are Russian citizens. Some may be first-generation immigrants. Some may be descendants of the people that emigrated in Russia during the empire. So, they are Russians. So here in Russia, by the way, Georgians are absolutely loyal to Russia. Georgian Russians. They are Russian citizens, and they are acting as one should expect. They are Russian citizens and they are loyal to Russia. So that's quite understandable. When it comes to Georgia itself, republic, former Soviet republic, their situation is, of course, quite complicated in this regard, because unfortunately, since even before Soviet Union collapsed, there was this movement for independence, and the leaders of that movement, some of them, chose anti-Russian rhetoric as a way to gain some popularity among, and the nationalism as a way to gain some popularity among masses. And unfortunately, at some point, for example, Zviad Gamsakhour, the first Georgian president, was seen as a leader of these nationalists in Georgia, and some other public figures around him. Some of them were seen as extreme nationalists, Nazis even. But things changed quite significantly after Shevardnadze became in power. This level of nationalistic movements, extreme nationalism, is died down. Probably when people start experiencing life without Russia, and when people start realizing that, economical cooperation between the countries, destruction of the economical cooperation is influencing automatically, ultimately, on the quality of life. Some people, of course, start thinking more about what the hell was going on. But after Shevardnadze, by the way, new type of nationalists arrived in Georgia, or were created in Georgia by Western think tanks, their programs, Western secret services, especially US, because they put in power after the so-called Rose Revolution it was 2003, isn't it? 2003, 2004, when they play out this game with the Saakashvili and Shevardnadze, and Saakashvili was put in power. Well, movement of Saakashvili was called Ertiani Naționalul Rimozrauba, that's in Georgian, which is a United Nationalist Movement, if you translate it. And, people, including myself, we start calling them Nazis. Natsebi. We were calling them Nazis, but not in the sense that they were any patriotic or they care much about preservation of their traditions or culture or anything like that. No, people start calling them Nazis because of this name of the party, United Nationalist Movements. But in reality, those people have no care about Georgia at all. Absolutely. And Saakashvili was, Saakashvili definitely was a disaster for Georgia and his government. Right now, of course, there are nationalist movements in Georgia. And those nationalist movements are not connected with Saakashvili, and they were opposing Saakashvili, by the way. Real nationalist movements in Georgia, or conservative movements, or traditionalist movements, they were in opposition to Saakashvili. And right now, these movements, if you conduct some social study in Georgia, I'm quite sure majority of the people that rely themselves with the conservative movement, with the patriotic movement or traditional movement, conservatism, majority of them will say that US and collective West causes danger for Georgia, Georgia's sovereignty, Georgia's traditions, for survivability of the Georgians' traditions, way of life, values, and they would not be mistaken. We all know what kind of propaganda have been pushed by these neolibs or globalists. So people in Georgia are not happy, and that's why, by the way, current government, which is acting quite carefully, and I would not say current government is a nationalist or something, but they clearly are trying to protect traditions or family values. This is unquestionable, and that's why those people, by the way, current government of Georgia is staying in power for this long, and they are ruling party Georgian Dream is the most popular party in the country, despite some certain problems that Georgia is experiencing, like any other country. So, to finalize, of course, you will find among, let's say, Georgian nationalists, people that have some strong feelings towards Russia, but you also will find, and majority, I guess, will be people that will be not happy that relationships between Russia and Georgia went in a way in late 80s, 90s, and 2000s in a way that they went, but they will say that they will agree that it is necessary to rebuild relationships between Russia and Georgia, and they will agree that to resolve all the major issues between the two countries, cooperation is necessary. So they are not really Russophobes. I will say majority of the Georgian conservatives, traditionalists, nationalists, if you want, they are not really Russophobes, that they clearly are anti-Western. But they are anti-Western because they see danger for Georgian traditions, values, even religion, by the way. They see danger that is coming from the West, not from the Russia. And I mean, they have reasoning for that, because after all, regime Saakashvili was openly targeting Georgia's Orthodox Church. And even now, the so-called opposition in Georgia and their activists and the NGOs that are financed from the West quite often are, openly attacking Georgian Orthodox Church, which is an attack, of course, on Georgian tradition and values. So they have every reason to think that main danger for Georgia's way of life is coming from globalists. Collective West, it's a quite wider understanding. It may have wider interpretation, but I will say globalists and these neolibs that are pushing quite strange, to say the least, narratives and agendas on the client states in the West itself, and also on the client states of the West. So this is my answer. Hopefully answer was informative enough. So yes, that's been said. Let me now share with you some information that I published today on a Telegram, and I will come back to questions. And same time, dear friends, I will check constantly Boosty. I will check donation alerts, and if I receive any question right now through this platform or through PayPal also, by the way, Magda will send me a message if there is any donation on PayPal with a question. So yes, if I see questions there, of course I will try my best to give you a good informative answer. Now let's go through news, and as always I start my working day with greetings to our community. Then main topic of the day, of course, summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Astana, capital of Kazakhstan. Russian president arrived in Astana, and not just arrived, but he already had their meetings with a number of world leaders, and I published about it information, at least partially, on my Telegram. Also, by the way, excuse me, I posted this information that US is running a very large deficit at the time, according to Fed Chair Jerome Powell, and well, he is talking about issues that this immense debt of the US may create potentially. And I mean, you don't have to be like finance top expert in finances to realize that at some point US will spend too much just on maintenance of this debt. Its number is almost now is I mean, it's already closing into trillion just to service the debt that US has. And every term of the US president every term increases this debt, which is now stands on 34.5 trillion, increases it to another 3, 4, 5 trillion. So of course trajectory is no good, clearly, and if US leadership does nothing to control their spending, to deal with their budget deficit, if they didn't stop borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, at some point they're gonna end up in big trouble, obviously, because at some point they might print so much money that dollar will collapse, and that will create mayhem in the world's economy, not just in US economy, but in the world's economy, at least partially. Or US will default. US will have to default on its debt, which is, sounds like something unimaginable, but only so much they can borrow, by the way, and only so much they can service then this debt. So also I of course shared information about a visit of Russian frigate Admiral Gorshkov to Venezuela. Interesting move, expected move, of course, also. Then I shared information that, well, this is quite interesting. CNN admits, by the way, that they did not criticize Joe Biden because they were afraid. They didn't raise questions about ability of Joe Biden to be president because they were afraid of reaction of their this neoliberal crowd and some TikTokers. They were afraid of optics and Glenn Greenwald, one of the greatest journalists of the modern time, by the way, who broke a story with Snowden. So legendary journalist, undoubtedly. Glenn Greenwald commented that if you want to report major stories about the most powerful people in the country, all because you are afraid of provoking anger from the White House, Democrats, or the liberal Twitter sphere. Yes, not TikTokers, but Twitter spheres. Yes, that was in comment. You are many things, he wrote on X. And then I'll continue. Journalist is not one of those things, not one of them. It's so pathetic. That was a comment from Glenn Greenwald, and he is absolutely correct, isn't it? He is absolutely correct. What CNN, MSNBC, and all these other so-called media outlets in the US or in collective West in general are doing, this is, has nothing to do with the journalism. They are pure propagandists, by the way, and that's why I'm saying, if you want to see good, really, really top-level Western journalists, you have to look for alternative media. Like Glenn Greenwald, by the way, he has his own media project on internet, and he is very successful, obviously, and many other big names, by the way, big and well-respected names in Western journalism. Not many, but all of them, literally all of them, are in the independent media now, or alternative media, because they cannot work in such outlets like I don't know, CNN, BBC, and that kind of crap, isn't it? New York Times or Washington Post and Guardian, and they no longer can be called media, really. They are just propaganda tools in the hands of Western ruling class. So interesting comment there. Also, by the way, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Indian Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar hold the talks on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Well, two legendary foreign ministers of modern times, undoubtedly, and well, I'm glad, by the way, that relationships between Russia and India are developing very well, I will say. There might be some issues here and there, like always. Some issues are always, even between most strategic partners. But relationships in general are developing extremely well, and I'm really happy about it, because me personally, I said many times before, I see India as a strategic partner for Russia, and I'm quite sure India's political elites also see Russia as a strategic partner for many reasons. For many reasons, it's not just economical reasons, by the way, but it's also political, geopolitical reasons, for security reasons, and so on. I can continue. And both capitals, New Delhi and Moscow, are on the same page in this regard, I believe, and it's great. It's great, by the way. And I have to applaud India's leadership, by the way, despite immense Western pressure. They defend the sovereign right of India to build relationships with other countries based on best national interests of India. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, Jai Shankar is a legendary, absolutely legendary foreign minister, one of the heavyweights, one of the few heavyweights that they are on the political stage right now in this world. Let's continue, and then I share this video from DD Geopolitics, a channel about military parade in Belarus. So Belarus Independence Day was celebrated, and there was a military parade there. Soldiers. Also, I can see in this video female units of the Belarusian army, some military equipment. Of course, this is S-300 air defense systems, I guess, maybe S-400. They look quite similar. It is not always easy to distinguish for not professional military. Which one is S-300, which one is S-400 or 500. I'm not sure if Belarus has S-500, but they might have S-400, maybe. So also some military equipment, some drones. Drones are everywhere now, of course. Drones are everywhere, and they changed modern warfare forever. Drones, and of course fighter jets also. So congrats to Belarus, congratulations to Belarusian people with the day of independence. Of course, strategic partner of Russia and our brothers, by the way. Belarus, of course, used to be part of USSR, Soviet Union, and in Soviet Union we grew up with this mindset that all republics, by the way, peoples of all republics were brotherly nations, and I still have very same mindset, and I don't want to change it. I'm happy with this mindset, by the way. That one of the greatest achievements of Soviet Union was, in my opinion, there was many great achievements, but one of those was definitely to bring closer to so many ethnic groups and cultures, traditions together, and people were living with the bilateral respect and in peace and prosperity. Prosperity may be too strong a word, okay, because after all, Soviet Union went through the Great Patriotic War. But once a country starts rebuilding itself, let's say from late 60s to up to early 80s, I believe people were quite happy in Soviet Union, and improvements were very significant on quality of life. Also, by the way, I share this information that I spoke about in the first update. Also, that Ukraine to be warned, it's too corrupt for NATO. This was reported by British Telegraph. So yes, NATO member states need some reason why they cannot accept. They spoke about so much about Ukraine becoming NATO member state, and they propagandized the majority of the public in the West so much so that they are looking now for reasons why Ukraine cannot become NATO member state. They didn't explain to people that country that has some territorial dispute, country that has some that is involved in a military conflict. a priori cannot be cannot enter the NATO, they didn't say that to public. They were saying, you know, if not today, tomorrow, yeah, Ukraine will join NATO, Ukraine will join NATO, Ukraine will join NATO. And of course, Ukraine will not join NATO, and they need now to answer to some questions, and they come up with this, that Ukraine, they just realized, by the way, only now they realize that Ukraine has some issues with corruption. Okay, and let's go, dear friends, through some questions. Also, let me check Boosty and donation alerts. Nothing here. And okay, let's go through some questions in the chat. So Yaroslav Pelechek, hello, Yaroslav, nice to see you. One of the most active members of our community, at least during the live streams. And thank you for your questions, Yaroslav. So question is, could you explain difference between light and heavy attack helicopters? They carry same weapons, they could carry same radars, possibly. I don't know which differences they have, maybe armor. Also, additional question, I mean, I do not see much bigger difference between AH-1 and AH-64, yet Apache is 3 times more expensive. Well, you are correct, of course, armor is one of the differences, but not the main one. Of course, heavy helicopters obviously have better protection, but in my personal opinion, although I'm not military expert, obviously, but in my understanding, I have to do like that, top chat, so that I can see all the comments. So yes, when it comes to helicopters, avionics, by the way, avionics must be big difference. Also, I don't think fire control systems are the same, and heavy helicopters are capable of lifting heavy payload, and maybe, for example, Viper and Apache. I say Viper because Czech Republic brought Vipers, isn't it? And maybe they can carry similar type of weapons, but volume of weapons that they can carry can be significantly different. If Viper can carry, let's say, 16 Hellfire anti-tank missiles, Apache will probably carry 32. So there is a big difference, isn't it? And also, by the way, fire control system must be different. Avionics, protection, range of flight, and that's why probably heavy helicopters are significantly more expensive. Although I'm not downgrading battle capabilities of the light attack helicopters like Viper. It's a great helicopter, by the way. Viper is a good compromise between in terms of quality and price. Viper is a good helicopter. So if anybody says that, well, Viper is a rubbish, I don't think that person is honest, really. And I mean, Czech Republic brought Vipers for a reason, isn't it? I mean, I'm no military expert, but they should be in a leadership of Czech's military, and they probably know why, that Viper suits demands of their Czech defense needs better than Apaches, including because of the price and because of the maintenance, for example, cost. So I think that's the main difference: range of flight, payload, volume of payload that helicopters can carry, and fire control systems. Apache may be able, for example, to simultaneously track, let's say, dozen of targets on the battleground and launch missiles one after another simultaneously, basically, on all the different targets, while I'm not quite sure that Viper is capable of such a level of operations. So fire control system definitely will be different on those helicopters, and radars also probably, and avionics. But yet again, if we have military pilots of Apaches or Vipers in community, they may answer in much better than I could ever, you know. So, and dear friends, if you can, please write the question with the capital Q in front of question, or entire question in the capital letters, so that I would not miss it. Jack Lars is commenting, I'm very interested to see what strategic objectives will be developed by Putin as this war drags on. National security is a fail. National security is a failure, as now Putin is reduced to threatening US with the nuclear weapons. Well, I don't think Putin is threatening anybody really, and I don't think in terms of national security we have any failures. If anything, Russia is in much better place now in terms of its security, because Russian armed forces probably are most battle ready in the entire world right now, especially ground forces, by the way, because there is no army in this world, even US army, by the way, that can conduct such operations with success that Russian armed forces are conducting. And when it comes to special military operation, well, if you are just watching Western media outlets or pro-Ukrainian media outlets, then you may have very strange understanding of the situation on the ground. But if you are watching alternative media outlets, then you will know that almost on daily basis, Russian armed forces are establishing control over their settlement after settlement after settlement after settlement. And I said many times before, by the way, that Russian current strategy is not about establishing control over as much as possible territory. No, current strategy is to demilitarize Kyiv regime, and this task, and Russian forces are achieving this task. Although whenever on certain directions Kyiv regime's defense lines are collapsing, obviously Russian troops have to move forward to create additional points of tension or pressure to force Kyiv regime to send in those directions additional units, reinforcements after reinforcement, so that Russian side will continue to demilitarize Kyiv regime. And because Russian side is establishing control over these settlements, and on daily basis, it seems like Kyiv regime forces are really close to collapse. Really close. I mean, just give it a couple of more months, and I think we will see beginning of the end of Kyiv regime's armed forces are as a more or less capable entity. So it all depends what kind of information you have, and how you are analyzing this information. Because I don't think you ever hear on the Western media outlets that Russian armed forces establishing control over the settlements on every day or every other day. When maybe Western media reported about Avdiivka, for example, but Avdiivka was like 3 months ago, something like that. Since then, Russian troops established control over at least 24 of settlements. Did Western media report about any of it? I don't think so. Probably Western media is reporting that, well, Kyiv regime is holding and Kyiv regime is attacking here and there even. And I mean, some Western media may go as far as claim that if not today, tomorrow, Kyiv regime's forces will enter Moscow. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because quite often, I see on internet, by the way, these videos on relatively big channels, even on big channels, by the way, when commentators are making claims that are total absurd, and I wonder from where they are taking this nonsensical news. Western media, I guess, and Kyiv regime's propaganda. So, you know. And dear friend, I'm pro-Russian, isn't it? I'm a Russian citizen, I'm 100% pro-Russian, obviously, and I was saying this from very beginning. And take anything I said with pinch of salt, with mountain of salt, by the way. Always check and double check. That's all good. But I'm talking about other channels in this field of alternative media. Check those channels, you know. Check those channels, and I'm quite sure, for example, Judge Napolitano, by the way. Can you say that Judge Napolitano is a pro-Russian channel? I don't think so. Judge Napolitano is US patriot, and guests that he has in his show, all of them are US patriots, when they are US citizens. And he usually has US citizens as a guest. Not always, but usually. Take a look at the Duran, by the way. Leading channel in this segment of alternative media. Just take a look at the Duran, and you might be surprised to get to real situation, you know. Because if you are under influence of Western propaganda, by the way, I mean, you're gonna experience some shock if you really pay attention to independent media. You know, not pro-Russian, not pro this or pro that. I am pro-Russian. I am a Russian citizen, and that's why I'm saying take anything I said with pinch of salt or mountain of salt. But simultaneously, check other media outlets also in independent media that are not pro-Russian, that are independent. They're just providing news and analysis. You know, and you're gonna be very, very surprised. Quite sure about it. Yet again, if you are under influence of CNN, BBC, and that kind of so-called media. Anyways, let's continue. Jack Lears is also asking, please discuss the variety of ways Russia could strike back against NATO asymmetrically. Well, I mean, there are so many options, isn't it? Let's hope. Recently, I even said that, at least for now, it seems to me that Russia is not really engaged in this asymmetrical warfare with NATO, and I think it's a good stuff. It shows restraint of the Moscow. It shows that only adults in the room are Russian leaders, really, because Western ruling class clearly acting as I don't know, man, extremely irresponsible individuals. And I mean, I can speculate now. I can go to this this topic and give you a dozen of areas that Russia can do some stuff, but I will, what is the point? What is the point in this? Right now, Russia is more focused to gather further support worldwide. And by the way, 80% of this world is standing with Russia. 80% of this world of humanity is standing with Russia. That's a quite support, isn't it? Only collective West is against Russia. And although, by the way, even then, not all countries in the collective West are on the same page. There are differences in the collective West also. Right? South Korea, for example, not really keen to escalate with Russia. Hungary wants nothing to do with this craziness of the Brussels, NATO, Washington, London, and so on. Slovakia and the current leadership, they want to act cautiously because they understand Russia is not their enemy, and they don't want to act against Russia as enemies. There are some awakening in Bulgaria, by the way, surprisingly, and there are some. There are little hope that maybe there will be some changes in Greek policies. Although, by the way, one should say that Greek leadership, even though are under very heavy control of the West, Washington, they're not really acting that hawkish against Russia. Let's be clear. And I'm talking about political leadership, by the way. When it comes to people, I mean, Greek people are our brothers. We love them, they love us. That's how it is. Same goes for many other societies in Europe. So Western collective West is also not kind of on the same page when it comes to confrontation with Russia, right? It's just the Western ruling class and some major financial and military and some countries that are leaders in financial and military terms in the collective West that are used against Russia by this Western ruling class on extreme levels. But majority of the countries, even in the West, by the way, political elites, I'm quite sure they don't want to continue this craziness. You know, I mean, let's wait and see. I'm quite happy. Sometimes if I'm on emotions, by the way, I may say some crazy stuff. Let's do this and let's do that, but I'm not on emotions right now. I'm quite calm. And therefore, I will say I'm pleased that Moscow is acting this cautious, because somebody has to be adult in the room. And this weight, as I said many times before, by the way, this weight and responsibility for entire world, by the way, for safety of entire world, everybody in this world, is on the shoulders of the Russian leadership right now. Just think about it. You know? But when it comes to areas where Russia can escalate, I mean, there is... In 5 minutes, I can give you like a couple of dozens of those areas, but what is the point on that? I don't want to speculate. Let's hope that somehow, someday we will see the escalation, because we don't really want any more escalation, by the way. It's already too much. Let's oh dear friends, let me continue with some reports on Patreon, and I shared this video, by the way. This is today's strikes that Russian armed forces conducted on in the Dnipropetrovsk. This is a southern machine building plant. And strikes were quite precise and quite effective. I guess there were some military warehouses there. Maybe some weapons were made in that plant, or damaged weapons maybe were worked on. And the Russian side made decision to strike in that direction. Then I shared, of course, a link to my first update, and as I said, by the way, today was very busy day for leaders of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization member states, and Vladimir Putin, Russian president, was of course in Astana, and he had a meeting with a number of leaders, world leaders. He had a meeting with the leader of Mongolia. In this particular video, he is meeting with the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. He met with Xi Jinping, Chinese leader. He met with the leader of Kazakhstan, host nation of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. He also met with Erdogan, by the way, Turkish president. So Putin was very busy. I mean, a very busy day. Too many meetings, and it's all good. Shanghai Cooperation Organization is obviously Good addition to the BRICS. Good addition to the BRICS, and both these organizations clearly are foundation for the emerging multipolar world, for sure. And then I share this information, by the way. Many of you probably read it on the Telegram, that Kiev will not compromise with Russia to end their hostilities, stated Andrei Yermak, the head of Zelensky's office. So you tell me now how delusional this individual is. Is he adequate? No. Or he is acting as crazy. Because best chance Kiev regime had to save the lives of its military personnel and even statehood of Ukraine was to accept recent Russian peace initiative, but they declined Russian peace proposal because Western ruling class did not allow Kiev to accept it. And Russia tried once, twice. They didn't want it, so okay. From now on, situation for Kiev regime will only deteriorate. There is only one way, by the way, that things may go down, and that way is not a pleasant one for Kiev regime. That's for sure. Also, probably you already know about this. Crazy story that Russian prankers, Vavan and Lexus, they spoke with Hillary Clinton as if they are Petro Poroshenko, former president of Ukraine. And interestingly enough, by the way, Hillary Clinton welcomes Ukraine's attacks on Trump. So, Hillary Clinton, that was in avant-garde of this whole hysteria in the US about Russian involvement in elections and all this Russiagate stuff. Hillary and her camp were behind all that Russiagate nonsense, right? And she, in a phone conversation, by the way, she's openly saying that she welcomes Ukraine's attacks on Trump, Ukraine's involvement basically in US internal policies. So that's why I'm saying, by the way, this person, Hillary Clinton, is, too nasty, man. Too nasty. And I don't think Western media will even pay, slightest attention to this topic. And if you are interested, I have an episode here of the conversation that she had with the Russian pranksters, so you can check that out. Also, by the way, as I said just a minute ago, Russian president also met with the leader of Pakistan today on sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Astana. Interesting. I hope somehow, someday, India and Pakistan will resolve their issues. First of all, they will cut foreign involvement, especially Pakistan, by the way. India is a sovereign nation and a superpower in this world. If Pakistan will cut foreign influence on its internal politics, then I'm quite sure Islamabad and the New Delhi will find ways to rebuild relationships on some new grounds to ensure peace between the two. After all, this is one people, by the way. Our friends from India and Pakistan can tell me if I am wrong, but I believe vast majority, ethnically speaking, by the way, and culturally speaking, vast majority of India's population and Pakistan's population are same people. United Kingdom, British Empire divided these people based on religion lines. Majority in Pakistan are fate of majority in Pakistan is Islam, and fate of majority in India is Hinduism. And Britain, by withdrawing from India, leave mines in the place. And one of those mines being geopolitical mines, and one of those mines being dividing India on these religion lines. And initially Pakistan was of course bigger because Sri Lanka was a part of Pakistan also. And then we all know that this war for independence, struggle for independence, was taking place in Sri Lanka. India supported Sri Lanka's people, and they are independent now. But once again, I believe all these people, they are one people. They are one people, and I'm quite sure they can. If there will be no foreign involvement, I'm quite sure they will find the ways to cooperate and to live in peace. Right? They are brothers, for God's sake. Of course, they're gonna have to live in peace. This is my understanding of the situation. So then I shared this video. That and I lost it. So this video, by the way, this is a attempt attack on Novorossiysk, I believe, by naval drones from a Kiev regime, and Russian vessels open fire. Russian military open fire on these Ukrainian naval drones. In reality, these operations with the drones, as always, are conducted with the active involvement of the British militaries, British secret services, first of all, and most likely US militaries. And number of these naval drones were destroyed. And this during the day, I read some updates on this matter, that Russian militaries were conducting searching operations in coastal lines, in aquatory of the Novorossiysk, to make sure that there are no more drones of the Kiev regime left there. And port in Novorossiysk is working in as usual. But unfortunately, this is not the first and not the last attempt of Kiev regime and Western ruling class, Western militaries, to conduct strike on Russian cities with the drones, naval, aerial, Also interesting news, by the way. That Rheinmetall to receive the largest tank order in the company's history, and this order comes from Italy. I was a little surprised to read this news, because at some point, some decades ago, Italy was trying to build its own tank industry. Italy has a good history of tank building, but seems like they finally said no to domestic development of the tank, and they are now all in to buy German tanks. And Italy will order more than 550 Panther tanks and the Lynx infantry fighting vehicle from Rheinmetall, according to Handelsblatt. Their deal would be the largest deal. The deal will be the largest in the German military firm's history. Italian media report said that contract was worth about 20 billion euros. So, quite a large contract, really. I wonder, for 20 billion euros, Italian military industrial complex would not be able to produce its own tank or its own infantry fighting vehicle. I mean, really? What the hell? But yet again, when you have such a prime minister as Giorgia Meloni, that has no care about Italy and Italy's national interest, then what we are talking about, Germany's economy is in trouble now, and I guess Prime Minister of Italy wants to support German economy a little bit, and Italian taxpayers will transfer some 20 billion euro to German military industrial complex. Okay, it's their internal business. If they're happy with it, okay. And by the way, also interesting news that no force will compel Slovakia to send its soldiers to Ukraine, stated defense minister of the country, Robert Kalinak. He reminded that Prime Minister Fico had said back in February that he would rather resign than allow participation of Slovak soldiers in the Ukrainian conflict. Confirmation, by the way, of my understanding of the situation in the among Western countries in the collective West. Well, Prime Minister of Slovakia, Fico, Defense Minister of Slovakia, Kulinak, they are quite open and direct that they want nothing to have with this proxy war that Western ruling class is waging with Russia. And Hungary is on the same page, and many other countries in the collective West are on the same page, by the way. Because they know Russia is not their enemy. It's so obvious, isn't it? That Russia is not their enemy. Russia is provoked by Western ruling class for their geopolitical agenda that not serves interests of the people of Slovakia, Hungary, Netherlands, for example, Ireland or Spain, Portugal, or any other country, Italy. Because Western ruling class, they have some crazy ideas, by the way, that goes against the whole of humanity, really. Anyways, let me go through some questions, if there are some. Also, I will check here. I have a message. Donation from Malina. Peace, brother. Смерть фашизму. I can understand. I mean, Slavic languages may be a little different, but you can understand at the same time. Maybe not always, but this commentary said смерть фашизму, death to fascism, and свобода народу, freedom to people. I agree with you absolutely. Thank you very much, Malina, for your donation and support and commentary. Very grateful. And let me go back to my page here and let me check donation alerts. And let's continue, dear friends. I will check comment sections. Hunger Mew is commenting, India is not being threatened by the West like Russia and China. India needs to stop kissing us to the USA. I may have different opinion about politics of the India. I think India is standing strong. And when it comes to attacks on India, by the way, just remember it was 70s, isn't it? It was 70s when entire West was against India and on the edge of starting full-scale attack on India. And what happened then? Soviet Union get involved. Soviet Union sent its fleet and a direct message to Washington, to London, and all the other countries that were in this anti-Indian coalition, that if they will attack India, Soviet Union will take care of them. And Washington backed down, and every other country in that anti-Indian coalition. So I will never agree that India was never under attack of West, by the way. India was always under attack of the West and under pressure of the West. Nothing to be said about British Empire that destroying India, by the way. When British Empire went to India, India was in top 3 countries in this world with the GDP numbers. I mean, please check this information on internet, but if I remember correctly, India was in top 3 with the GDP when British Empire went to India. When British Empire left India, this country was one of the poorest in the world. And you telling me that India was not under attack of West or Western pressure? Only now, by the way, only now India is step by step is managing to get rid of all that negativity and that British Empire left. It was disaster for India, by the way, and Indian people. What British Empire did, just imagine they went into richest country in the world, and when they left, this country was one of the poorest in the world. Can you imagine level of devastation that Indian people went through during those years? So, I mean, India is standing strong, by the way. India is standing strong, and India is a partner with Russia. Both capitals, New Delhi and Moscow, are on the same page that they need to stay stronger and to stay in best possible relationships with each other, because it's in best interests of both countries in terms of economy, in terms of security, in every other terms, and that's it, really, man. I have so much respect for India, by the way, and current leadership of India, they are, I mean, heavyweights, by the way. On the world stage, you only have like very few people that are heavyweights, and Modi and Jai Shankar clearly are heavyweights. I don't think anybody can argue with that, So let me check, by the way. Hang Mu is commenting, Georgia is also brother to Russia and ex-Soviet Union. Georgia used to be part of Soviet Union, by the way, and Georgian people, Russian people, we are Orthodox Christians, and we are brothers. In Orthodox Christianity, we have this bond that all Orthodox Christians are brothers and sisters. I mean, we have this. I don't know, probably it's the same in Catholic, among Catholic Christians or Protestants, this bond that, I mean, unites us. And by the way, Georgia is one of the first Christian countries in this world. I will argue, I mean, Armenia is the first kingdom. Armenia was the first kingdom that became Christian, and in 337, Georgia became Christian. So of course Georgian people and Russian people are brotherly people. They might not be Slavics. Georgians are not Slav people, like majority of ethnic Russians. But who cares, man? We are brothers. That's it. Well, and Hang Mu is commenting, I don't know why ex-Soviet countries, not all friendly to Russia. This is Western propaganda, by the way, Western influence. They play active role in destruction of Soviet Union. I believe that Shevardnadze and Gorbachev, they were assets of the CIA. And they were led by CIA for years and years before they end up in a position of power. And then these criminals, Shevardnadze and Gorbachev, were used to destroy Soviet Union. Most likely, many other bureaucrats in Soviet Union were also assets of the CIA and were run by Western secret services, and all of them, by the way, basically destroy Soviet Union. That's my understanding of what has happened there. And straight away, of course, Western secret services went to these newly created countries. And in Soviet Union, there was 15 republics, right? So these secret services went to all of these countries, including Russia, by the way. During the Yeltsin, Russia was not any different, And modern Russian leadership, including Putin, by the way, said openly quite a number of times that the Western secret services assets were almost in every ministry in Russia, and they were actively involved in decision-making process. And that period, by the way, of 90s is a total disaster. People don't even want to remember those years. That's how disastrous that was. all around Soviet Union, all around the former Soviet republics, including in Russia, obviously, in Georgia, everywhere. So these Western secret services went into these newly created republics once Soviet Union was no more. And they're everywhere, by the way, everywhere they start creating these anti-Russian narratives through their assets. They start pushing Russophobia, by the way. And unfortunately, in many places, they managed to succeed. Somewhere, in the long term, for example, take Baltic states, by the way. In Baltic states, I mean, you might be surprised, or some members of our community might be surprised, but in Baltic states, so-called political elites are not just some extreme Russophobes, but in Baltic states you will see parades, by the way, of SS veterans, whoever are still alive from those SS formations that were created based on residents of Baltic republics. Those old people, those war criminals, basically, are marching. They are allowed to march on the streets of Baltic states and demonstrate their regalias, their Nazi fascist regalias. Is it normal that fascists are marching and war criminals are marching on the streets of Baltic states? It's not normal. And they are demolishing monuments of their Soviet troops that liberate these republics from these fascists. So unfortunately, there are republics where this Russophobia that was pushed by Western ruling class went in extreme terms, went too far, and now you have a leadership in Baltic states that you see. I mean, totally crazies, absolute crazies, by the way, and Russophobes, insane individuals. And unfortunately, for example, take a look at the Ukraine. In Ukraine, since the collapse of Soviet Union, unfortunately, these anti-Russian narratives were promoted, and as a result, by the way, now you have Russians in Ukraine. Russians, by the way, young, like 35-year-old Russians that only hear entire their life this crazy nonsense from Western propaganda, from local Nazi propaganda, that they are somehow no Russians no more. They are, I don't know, descendants of Vikings or descendants of Scytho-Sarmatians, that Ukrainians have nothing in common, at least Slavs in Ukraine, because Scytho-Sarmatians were Iranic speaking people. They were not Slavic speaking people. But anyways, I mean, those ordinary Russians whose grandfathers and grandmothers were fighting against Nazis and fascists from all around Europe that invaded the Soviet Union, led by Nazi Germany. I mean, descendants of those heroic people now claiming that they are, Ukrainian nationalists and want nothing to have with Russia. That's what propaganda does, by the way. That's what propaganda does. That's why it's extremely dangerous stuff. That people's brains are, I mean, can be washed. Some people's, not all people's, but brainwashing is, I mean, have been mastered by Western ruling class. And that's why you see these frictions between former Soviet republics, by the way, which is really sad though, and that's why you see in some of these former Soviet republics this anti-Russian hysteria being a main narrative time after time. It's all Western ruling class, by the way, and their anti-Russian stance that goes back to centuries, by the way. I mean, the complex topic, of course, but in few words, that's how it is. Nidish Kumar is asking question. Interesting question, by the way, to our communities from the West, US, for example. Why do you have just two main parties? Really, why? I mean, is it democracy, really? When somehow only these two parties are representing public and no others. Formally, there are, of course, some other parties also, but somehow those other parties are never relevant. Never relevant, by the way. Just these Democrats and Republicans in US, Labours and the Conservatives in UK, and I mean, every other country is almost the same. How come? And you call it democracy when just formally two parties, but in reality uniparties, are playing this game of politics, as if they really represent a majority. You know, all these talks, by the way, about democracy and stuff, especially from the Western ruling elites, it's just a game, by the way. It's just a game. You know, it's just a game. I don't think there is any democracy in the West. I mean, in a way that they promote it. I really don't think so. And I believe, by the way, I truly believe that officials here in Russia care much more to keep people happy than officials in European states, majority of at least European states and US. I really think so, because, for example, I'm in Dmitrov. If Mayor of Dmitrov F-stops and does some crazy stuff, and if communications, if something is not working in the city and people are not happy, you know what will happen? Governor of the Moscow region will fire him. There's no question about it. If a governor of the region and his cabinet, his government, regional government, don't do job properly, and people are not happy, you know what will happen? Moscow will intervene and will fire everybody. And it does happen quite often, by the way. Moscow monitors situation, and if they see that work of this government in this city or this region is not up to task, oh, no one is safe there, man. You know? And decisions are made quite often and very rapidly. You know what? If you cannot take this responsibility, if you cannot work and achieve tasks, then just leave it. Just leave it. Other people will come and do it. You know? But I'm not quite sure that it's a similar level of dependence of the officials on the public opinion in the Western states as it is here. And this Western ruling class, by the way, calls Russia autocracy and calls themselves democracy. I mean, how come though? But as I said, man, it's all just game of words, you know. That's all. Because every nation, by the way, every country, it is so obvious, isn't it, that every nation has its own way of development, its own unique way to go forward. And what is, for example, working for Russia may not work for China, may not work for Indonesia or Australia or I don't know, Portugal, right? And what is working for US may not work for Mexico or I don't know, South Africa, right? But this Western ruling class is so arrogant that they are demanding almost from everybody to accept only their way of doing things, which is wrong. And that's why they are isolated now. You know, multipolar world, 80% of this world stands one side and Western ruling class stands on other side. And countries that they control in collective West. Although, as I said, by the way, inside the collective West also there is a friction, undoubtedly, and as time goes by, more and more people will wake up, and more people will realize that they've been played by their own political elites, and hopefully they will take action and sometime in the future, Western states will have, or collective West states will have governments that will act based on best interests of their own people, which means that they will end hostility with Russia and they will start looking for ways to cooperate with Russia, because Russia is not a threat for nobody if not provoked. That's it. And by the way, it's already 1 hour and 20 minutes that our live stream is on, and I will go through quickly through some other posts. This is video, by the way, that I share on my Telegram about meeting of the Russian president and the president of Turkey, Erdogan. Well, it was very busy day, isn't it? Very busy day in Astana, on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. And by the way, then I shared this quite interesting, although not really surprising news, that only Michelle Obama, according to some polls, can beat Donald Trump. I don't know about can she or cannot. I mean, our friends from US, I mean, can share their opinion. They know better what is going on inside the US. But if you remember, I said quite a number of times before that maybe Democrats will name Michelle Obama as their candidate to run for president, and maybe that's why they agree Biden to conduct this debate with Trump, because that was set up for Biden to fail, so that decision makers among the establishment of the Democrats will have this window to take him out. And yes, by the way, I mean, this will be third term for Barack Obama, I guess, if Michelle Obama will be nominated. But let's go through this, and if she will win election. I was saying that I was mentioning her, isn't it? But that she might be one of the candidates. And well, Michelle Obama, the wife of former US President Barack Obama, is the only potential Democratic candidate who could beat Republican frontrunner Donald Trump in November's election, according to new Reuters Ipsos opinion poll. There is a growing concern among Democrat voters over the President Joe Biden's ability to secure second term in office this year, particularly after his debate with Trump. I mean, he was set up, by the way, to fail. Obviously, it's obvious. In which the 81-year-old incumbent appeared frail and confused and struggling to finish his sentences. On July 1st and July 2nd, Ipsos market research companies served representative sample of their 1,070 US adults for Reuters, including 892 registered voters, 348 Democrats, 322 Republicans, and 303 independents. According to the poll, if a vote were to be held now, Biden and Trump would both win an estimated 40% of the votes. However, around 3 in 5 voters, including nearly 1/3 of the Democrats, believe Biden should drop out of the race altogether, and that his party should put forward a new candidate, even at this late stage. Excuse me. Most of Biden's potential replacements do not seem to have their public approval or recognition needed to beat Trump on November 5th, according to the poll. In a hypothetical matchup against Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris was 1 point behind the Republican candidate, while others like California Governor Gavin Newsom and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer performed even worse. The only person who could beat Trump is Michelle Obama. The polls suggest in her matchup against the former president, some 50% of registered voters said they would vote for her, compared to 39 who said that they would vote for Trump. Well, basically, I guess Reuters was used to push this new narrative now in the media, in the Western so-called media, and of course many other news outlets gonna take this news now and brag about that. Come on, man, Michelle Obama can beat Donald Trump, and who knows, maybe she will. Barack Obama was, very popular. Of course, I'm not U.S. citizen, but as far as I understand, he was a very popular president, even though he didn't really achieve much. There was financial crisis during his presidency. U.S. was bombing more countries than ever during his presidency, although he received the Nobel Peace Prize. For what exactly? I don't know. I still don't know, by the way. And U.S. was performing in many ways extremely bad during the Obama, but he had this charisma, isn't it? And he was popular. And I guess because of it, theoretically, it is possibility that Michelle Obama can gain support of 50+% of the voters. Who knows? But it is clearly going to this direction, by the way, and I predicted this, right? Isn't it? I predicted this, so I can say that one more prediction end up being correct one. Okay, not bad. But yet again, dear friends, let's wait and see. Who knows what will happen? And this is, by the way, also very important news that in Moldova, just look at this, man. Forcefully was arrested, basically, a leader of the opposition party, Chance or Choice, if we translate it. Moldova is run by CIA assets, obviously. Sandu is a CIA asset, and her government, and they are clearly pushing Moldova towards full-scale disintegration. And if you ask me, I will tell you that give it 3 to 5 years, most likely Moldova will not exist on the political map. Some parts of Moldova will declare independence, and other parts will and probably will get closer to Russia, maybe even join Russia sometime in the future, and other part of Moldova will most likely join Romania. That's how I see fate of Moldova being sealed, because it's clearly moving towards this direction, towards disintegration. Sandu's government leaves no chance for Moldova as a state to survive. I see questions, by the way. Hunger Mew is commenting, no way in hell we will allow another Obama. Dear friend, you live in US, you know better what is going on there. I don't know, but Obama, for whatever reason, by the way, Obama was popular. If you take real numbers, by the way, he was one of the worst presidents, at least in recent history of US. Numbers were abysmal in every ways. Foreign policy of Obama was disastrous. US was engaged in more wars than ever. But because of this charisma, and I don't know, he was appealing to people somehow, and people were not really keen to read some nuances, to get to know some nuances. And therefore, if it worked once, maybe that will work another time also, because of course, if Michelle Obama will become a front runner, Barack Obama will be right next to her, and they both will speak. She's looks like she's probably a nice person, by the way. I have no strong opinion about her, but I guess she's a very nice person, and many people may vote for her just because why not, really. And if Obama will give speeches, and he will, of course, then his ability to attract public support may work once again, and theoretically she might beat Trump. That's a possibility. But yet again, it all depends on you, dear friends, on US citizens. Also, Did I miss question? Or sorry, dear friends, if I miss. I have a message here from Jerry Kogan. Thanks for all your work, Levan. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Jerry, for your support, for your attention, for your commentary. Truly grateful. Thank you very much. And let's continue, dear friends. Did I miss some question? Oh, Bobby LaForce is commenting. Belgrade is a city of 2 million inhabitants, and we have about 27-30 farmer fruits vegetable markets. Their quality is excellent. Prices are lower than the supermarket ones. Really? Thank you, Bobby, for your comment. Oh, you surprised me, because here prices are higher on if you buy from farmers market, but quality is as you said, quality is better than in supermarket, for sure. But it's not cheaper. Maybe it's a case here, but by the way, and in some other areas, I mean, if you go to farm directly, I guess you will buy it cheaper. But if you buy in a marketplace in a city, I mean, prices are quite but quality is good also. So, and as I said, I mean, in regards to farmers here in Russia, they have a great future, by the way. I believe they have a great future. Just give it another 2 decades, and Russia definitely will become a #1 breadbasket of this world, and more land will be given to farmers. Farmers will take. I mean, if you want to, you can ask local government in whichever territory you are, and if you want to invest in farming, you will get land. All you have to do is work. You will be obligated to work on this land and to produce something. You cannot leave land like that. If you do nothing, then the state will take back land because you are wrongdoing according to contract. But if you really want to farm, do something. You don't necessarily have to produce some, I don't know, potato or tomatoes. You may build farms for beef, for example, cattle. As long as you are doing some work in this segment of agrarian sector, you're okay. And I believe there will be more and more investments in this area, and Russia is destined to become #1 breadbasket of this world, for sure. But yes, when it comes to farmer markets, we also have them, but prices are, I will not say that prices are cheaper there. No, prices are more expensive, but the quality is better. At least here, by the way. I don't know in some other areas, but quality is much, significantly better than in supermarket. That's for sure. And dear friends, sorry if I miss any of your questions. Hang Mu is commenting, Democrats are insane anti-Russia and the Republicans are insane anti-China. I noticed that, by the way. Among the Republicans also there are plenty of Russophobes, anti-Russian elements, but they are more focused on China. Yes, I mean that's their thing, China. But Democrats, for whatever reason, I don't know what is wrong with them, what happened, but I mean they are focused on Russia. They are focused on hating Russia and Russians. I mean, what we did to them, nothing, isn't it? But that's their policies, by the way. That's the cards they use that they choose to use in this political game. That's all, really. Jekyll Lears is asking, do Russians fear Biden or Trump? Oh, we don't fear none of US presidents, by the way. We don't really care. If you ask me, I will say, you know what, because US is acting this hostile towards Russia, if you take a stand from a position of which president will do more harm to hostile to us state, then probably Biden. I will say no, leave Biden there. Just leave Biden, because I believe Biden is and his administration is the worst what has happened to US in decades and decades. Really, Biden's administration was total disaster. Any way you look, by the way, any way you look, domestically or in foreign policies, Biden's administration is the worst. So I don't want to see US as an enemy. I don't see US as an enemy. I see Biden's administration as an enemy and political class is in US. And that therefore, I don't want to talk in these frames like, enemies and not enemies. But theoretically speaking, of course, Biden's administration will make US less secure. US will become more weak under Biden's administration, and therefore, for every country will feel less pressure. Let's say this way, if Biden's administration is in place, will stay in place, and if US will only have such administrations, because they are too damaging for US, and at some point they would not be able to use a US as a beat to okay. Notebook says it is too hot. Anyways, so yes, that's my take. But when it comes to fear, we don't really fear nobody. Many of us, by the way, in former Soviet Union are fatalists. We believe in fate. So whatever has to happen will happen, and there is no point to fear. Just be a good human being, do your best, try to improve. That's it. So Nidish Kumar is asking, what happens if Le Pen wins? Does they burn down France? I can see indications of it already. Thank you for the question, Nidish. Well, that's a question, isn't it? That's a question. I don't know why, but there is a very strange after party in France. Whatever something has happened, then some crowds are going around streets and destroying everything, like there is no tomorrow. And I guess if Marine Le Pen will, Marine Le Pen's party will win the majority in a few days' time in the second tour, well, France is gonna experience some very difficult 24-48 hours. Yes, for sure. Because some will celebrate, and others will be too upset, and they will, they will express their feelings in a quite radical ways by destroying just about everything they see. That's quite strange stuff, man. I don't know why this is happening in France, time after time after time, but And dear friends, probably you hear these fans of their notebook are now running on max. I guess I have to end this live stream, otherwise notebook may just shut down. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention, for your support, for your questions, comments. Very grateful, and of course many thanks to all the members of our community who will watch this live stream later on. Quite a long live stream, by the way, 1 hour and 40 minutes. So hopefully you will find this community chat interesting. Thank you all once again, and bye for now. See you tomorrow. Thank you.